Grabe ang yaw-yaw, no? Pero wala dahil siya nag-on og mic. So, magbalik ta sa sugod. Pero very fast lang. Very fast. So, what is the primary goal of surgical hand scrubbing compared to hand washing? To eliminate all microbes as opposed to just reducing the number of them. So, what is the definition of surgical asepsis? So, it is the complete elimination or complete absence of all microorganisms within any type of invasive procedure. Why is maintaining surgical asepsis crucial during surgery? Because, as stated earlier, it is an invasive procedure, and if we do not maintain surgical asepsis, the patient would develop SSI or surgical site infections, which can also lead to sepsis. Can lead to a more severe condition in a patient known as sepsis. So, what is the first and most fundamental principle of surgical asepsis mentioned is the sterile to sterile na procedure. How does autoclave indicator tape show that an item has been processed? Autoclave indicator tape show that the item has been processed already. It has a black tape. A light colored DI. Light colored lines on the tape turn black after being autoclave. So, light color lines on the tape, gi-process pa siya. And pag na-autoclave na siya, it will turn to black. If an autoclaved item indicator tape has not turned black, how should it be treated? It should be considered unsterile and not used. So, wala pa na block ang tape. It is not sterile and should not be used. An object considered unsterile if you turn your back on it. So, this is something na kailangan ko more explanation about. Kay, nganong kung imuhang i-turn imong back, unsterile na siya. Unsa may rationale, ana? Explain. So, next question. For a wrapped sterile item, that outside of the pack is considered unsterile, while the inside is considered sterile. The sterility of the surgical field must be maintained from the preparation phase until the blank of the surgery. Until the end of the surgery. Okay, so na natin answer there is sa So the flashcard highlights the rule that visual observation is required to ensure sterility. So an object is considered unsterile if your sight or you turn your back on it. If you cannot see an item to verify that it has not been touched or contaminated, you assume that it is unsterile. So if nakatalikod imong back, then wala ka kuha ka balo nga na-touch na dito siya og something. So, you consider that unsterile if mo natalikdan. So, actually, isa sa kay ang lang. This principle dictates specific behaviors and protocols in the operating room. So, OR traffic and movement. When moving within the operating theater, sterile personnel must follow specific traffic rules to avoid contamination. For example, when transferring or moving past others, you should move back to back. This is to ensure that your sterile front or the area from the chest to the level of the sterile field remains protected and does not brush against unsterile areas. So, sterile gown, the back of the sterile gown is considered unsterile. Hala, the back is considered unsterile, di ay. This is because the wearer cannot see or reach the back to monitor its status. So consequently, during the gowning process, the partner or the circulating nurse must assist with the back of the gown because the person scrubbing it cannot see it. So pag nasa likod, di ba, kaya unsterile na siya. So, maintaining a sterility is a continuous process from the preparation phase through the end of the surgery. You must be conscious of your body placement relative to the sterile field. For instance, turning your back to a sterile table would render the table potentially unsterile because it has left your line of sight. So, kung ma-left na nimo siya sa imong line of sight, it could be considered as unsterile. Okay, unsa naman eh, guys. Where na ganit? What is the function of the OR light that makes it superior from other regular room lights? You can move it. It can be maneuvered, yes. Move it, and it provides a clear visualization from the surgical site in multiple angles. So the OR table can be adjusted into various positions such as tilt to the right or left and blank and up and down. Ang OR table di ay can ma-adjust nimo siya into various positions such as tilt to the right and left and blank, head up and down. So, besides the surgeon, who are the other sterile personnel typically standing beside the OR table during the surgery? So, naa ang circulating nurse, ang scrub nurse, a surgeon, aside from the surgeon and sa pailain, nababay anesthesiologist. So, the scrub nurse and the assistant surgeon, naa ang assistant surgeon. So, asa di ay mapunta si circulating nurse? So, kay ingon siya, the scrub nurse and the assistant surgeon raman ang nasa OR table besides the surgery. Before opening any sterile pack, what must you check for on the packaging? If there's any open dili jud na siya nato i-use kung naay open nga record ko, pag-aircon na lang. If a sterile pack is found to have a hole or tear, what must be done? Check for any holes, tears. So, when opening a sterile pack on a surface, what is the proper technique to maintain sterility? So, hold outer edges lang. The sterile instrument table, often called the back table, should be at what level relative to your body? It should be in the level of your hips. Should be waist level. It should be waist level. Have some red. When preparing for a sterile field, the sterile drape must cover blank of the back table. All edges. So, kung mag-prepare, one thing that you need to take into account kung mag-prepare ka sa back table, you must remember that it should cover all the edges. Any part of a sterile drape hanging below the waist level or table edge is considered unsterile. So, diba? When opening a heavy instrument set, what is a technique the circulating nurse can use if they have difficulty placing it on the field? So, heavy ang instrument set. What is the technique the circulating nurse can use if they have difficulty placing it on the field? So, ang magtrabaho day aning opening sa heavy instrument. Okay. Okay. Kay ang scrub nurse imo ang receive the sterile inner tray from the circulating nurse. Nakalimot ko usaon na pag-visualize. Unsaon ang heavy instrument set dayon ipasa sa sterile na scrub nurse. Kalimot ko. When dropping a sterile item onto the sterile field, how should you position it relative to the field? That should be high up in the... Drop it from a short distance above the field without touching the field or throwing the item. Where on the sterile field should you avoid dropping gloves and why? Avoid dropping them near the towel, as it will make it difficult to get the towel after hand scrubbing. So, i-avoid na to guys, na ibutang na to ang drop ang gloves dito sa sterile field. When we're on the sterile field, avoid dropping gloves. So, kanasa maning avoid dropping gloves. I-avoid daw na to siya near sa towel kaya make it difficult to get the another hand for scrubbing. Oh, okay. Okay. Kaya kung mag-scrubbing manggod ta, after na to, di ba, kay wet atong kamot, we must keep it all dry at all times. So, atong igamit ang lower bottom sa itong gown, dira na to itarapo. Where is a safe place to drop sterile items like gloves on the sterile field? Sa floor, in an open space away from the edges and other items you'll need to pick up first. Open space away from the edges and other items you'll need to pick up first. Okay, so para dili siya magsapaw-sapaw, no? Ana siguro kasabot. The principle of surgical hand scrubbing dictates that the dirtiest part of the arms is the blank, unlike in routine hand washing. So, sa surgical hand scrubbing, ang dirtiest part nato is ang elbow, while the cleanest part should be the hands. Kasi mauman na to ang ma-contact sa mga incise na to. So, tama ka ang elbows. During a surgical scrub, water should flow from the fingertips towards the elbows. When performing a surgical scrub, once you have scrubbed an area of the arm, you should not blank to that area. Touch that area. You should not go back to the area. So, kung mag-hand scrub ta, once you have scrubbed an area of the arm, you should, so manakag-scrub din na area sa taas. Then, mag-scrub na po ka sa ubos, dili ka mo balik sa taas. Kasi what's the point, ha? What's the point? So, bawal ka na mo balik ka sa taas. Ideally, sinks in the operating room should be operated by a paddle or a blank to avoid hand contamination. So, kung maghugas ka, you touch the sink. And then, kung nakaghugas, you touch again the sink to close. That would be so ineffective. So, like, magbalik-balik lang taghugas ani. So, dapat na ay sensor or pedal to avoid hand contamination. So, after surgical hand scrubbing, o manakag surgical hand scrubbing, how should you enter the operating room? So, imong ipataas imong kamot, keep nimo siya sa imuhang site, and you open the door using your back. So, after scrubbing, is it acceptable to use a hand dryer to dry your hands or arms? Of course, dili pwede nga mag-use tag hand dryer. Kasi we have learned from our micropara class that like kanang mga hand dryer sa McDo or sa Jollibee or anywhere place, it's actually more nga daghan og germs. So, the rationale behind that is something na akong nakalimutan, pero mas daghan jud siya germs, guys. So, may mag-air dry na lang ka. Where are you going, brother?
School, convocation.
Nakita ra ni mo imong cellphone?
Ano naman?
Nabilin. What is the proper technique for drying one arm with a sterile towel? So, katong kuon. What is the proper technique for drying one arm with a sterile towel? Katong, sterile towel man atong ikuan trapo ani. Use one side of the towel in a single direction from hand to elbow without going back. So, use one side of the towel in a single direction from hand to elbow without going back. Okay. After drying one arm, what do you do to dry the other arm? Use the other unused side of the towel, of the sterile towel. So, asa yung ano eh. Use the other unused side of the sterile towel. Use the others. Oh, okay. So, kato na yung naka-remember ko sa demonstration ani guys. So, after drying one arm, dry ka sa one arm, baliktad ni Nemo to dry the other arm. 'Di ba? So, baliktad lang. After you are finished drying your hands and arms, where should you discard the towel? So, anyway, discard ang towel sa salog. Drop it on the floor, correct, or in a designated receptacle without letting your hands drop below your waist. So, bawal ni mo ang i-drop ang imong kamot below your waist. When picking up a sterile gown, which part should you grab to lift it? Ang iyahang entire folded from the topmost part away from the neckline. So, away from the neckline diya itong buhaton. When you grab, how do you grab when picking up sterile gown, which part should you grab to lift it? So, away from the neckline daw. After picking up the sterile gown and stepping back, you should let it blank by itself. Fall by itself, unfold or drop by itself. Yes. When donning a sterile gown, the sterile side should be facing away from you. Yeah. Away from you ang sterile side. So, kailangan ako malaman sa gown as sa dapit dire ang sterile side. So, I feel like mag-practice ko karon with the lab gown. Pwede ko mag-practice with the lab gown actually or the smock gown. Pwede ka na. When donning a sterile gown, the sterile side should be facing away from you. While putting on a sterile gown, your hands should not pass through the ends of the sleeve, the cuffs of the sleeve. So, bawal kay ha, nga mo lapas imong kamot. After inserting your arms into the gown, who assist in securing the back of the gown? Ang circulating nurse. In the thumb-to-thumb technique for close gloving, what is the first step after opening the glove wrapper? Open ang glove wrapper. What is the first step? Grab the opening of the glove with your own gown-covered hand. So, yeah. Atong i-cover 3/4 ang ato ang kamot. So, only the fingers lang jud ang ma-expose, no? After grabbing the opening of the glove in the thumb-to-thumb technique, what is the next action? What's so many portal of entry? After grabbing the opening of the glove into the thumb, what is the next action? Flip the glove over your forearm. So, once the glove is flipped onto your arm, you expose the opening of the glove to create a blank for your hand. Portal of entry atong i-create for our hand. So, after inserting your fingers into the glove during closed gloving, what must you do before arranging the fingers? Atong itarong, before ganita, atong i-make sure nga ato ang cuff is well. So, secure the glove by pulling the cuff down over the cuff. Yeah. What is the goal of pulling the glove cover the gown cuff? To ensure that the gown sleeve does not come out of the glove, maintaining a closed sterile system. When moving around the OR as a sterile person, if you need to pass another sterile person, how should you do it? Katong back to back. You should back to back. What is the rationale for folding the edges of a sterile drape like a Mayo stand cover over your gloved hands while placing it? Dapat ko mag-continue sa limax. What is the rationale for folding the edges of a sterile drape like a Mayo stand cover over your gloved hands while placing it? Wait lang, kajot lang.